to go up?
That's right. One of the things that Joe Biden is proposing is that for Americans who make more than a million, their capital gains rate will be 39.6%, which is the same rate that he wants the top marginal tax bracket to be. So, currently the capital gains rate stands, I think, 23.8% when you factor in net investment income tax too. But, that's almost doubling the tax bite. And so that is something that is very much on the top of the mind. And one strategy is accelerating transactions right now to get it while the going's good, essentially, and take advantage of the rate that you have right now, that they know for sure right now.
All right. So accelerating how? What are some doing? Sales?
Yes, sales. So, for example, I talked to one accountant who has a client who was going to do. He was selling shares in a company, and he was going to stretch it out over a couple of years to, I guess just sort of, stretch out so the buyer could have, money on hand and cash flow purposes. But they compressed it and did it all in September to get that done then. Another thing that people are talking about is potentially getting in, if you have a bonus coming, getting that in early and getting that in now. Well, this actually gets more into, getting tax and ordinary income, but getting those bonuses in before the end of the year, before any sort of income tax brackets go up.
This has to assume also that not only Mr. Biden wins the presidency, but Democrats also control the Senate and retain control of the House.
That's right. Yeah. So, there are a lot of variables here. First and foremost, the Biden winning the presidency. But then, as you said, they have to flip the Senate as well in order to get both sides to pass legislation that would allow these tax hikes.
Thanks, Andy. Andy Keshner, personal finance reporter at MarketWatch. 30 minutes now after the hour on This Morning, America's First News. We've heard for years that it's important to have a diversified portfolio, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, that kind of thing. But if you've ever looked at a breakdown of the most successful portfolios, you'll typically see real estate. So why isn't it one of the first asset classes you consider when you're looking to diversify? Well, simple. It hasn't been available to investors like you and me until now, thanks to Fundrise. Whether you're new to real estate investing or a veteran, Fundrise can help. Fundrise is an investing platform that makes investing in high-quality, high-potential real estate as easy as investing in your favorite stock or mutual fund. Fundrise manages more than $1 billion in assets for more than 130,000 investors with a team of real estate professionals that carefully vets real estate projects. Start building your better portfolio today. Get started at fundrise.com/Gordon to have your first 90 days of advisory fees waived. That's fundrise.com/Gordon to have your first 90 days of advisory fees waived. Fundrise.com/Gordon.
The top national stories with the context to make sense of it all. This is America's First News. This Morning with Gordon Deal.
Thanks for spending time with us. Welcome into Tuesday, September 29. Gordon Deal, Jennifer Kashenka, some of our top stories and headlines. Trump and Biden debate on TV tonight at 9 Eastern. The House introduces its latest coronavirus relief bill with stimulus checks and more unemployment help. Tens of thousands flee wildfire flames in California wine country. Multiple people reported killed at a hostage situation in Salem, Oregon. Sports, Tampa Bay knocks off Dallas in 6 games for its second franchise Stanley Cup. Chiefs over the Ravens in Monday Night Football. Today is National Coffee Day. And the Texas kid who snagged a college degree at the age of 14. That story in about 20 minutes. As parents nationwide tread through a wildly different education landscape this year, many are disappearing from the rosters of their local public schools. Clark County schools in Nevada down about 10,000 students this year, a loss that will translate into a reduction of about $61 million from the state of Nevada, though the impact won't be felt right away. More from Aaron Richards, national education reporter at USA Today. Aaron, what's trending
A lot of kids just haven't shown up to school, particularly kindergarten students, but we are missing thousands of kids. And a lot of districts aren't even sure if we're going to be able to see these kids again until schools finally open in person and we get them back into a classroom.
Wow. And this is not like a trend I've seen here in New Jersey where public school parents are saying, I want my kids in school, therefore you are going to go to a private or parochial school. This is kids sort of disappearing from the rolls because they're doing something else?
Yes, and I would say that it crosses economic lines for various families. You have families that have the means to choose other options beyond their public district. So you might have transferred your child to a private school with tuition. You might have chosen to homeschool, which comes with its own costs associated with buying curriculum. Other students may have not unenrolled or withdrawn, but they may just be at home not really doing anything. And that could be because they don't have internet. It could be because they don't have a lot of other family members at home who can support them. So kids are missing, but the reasons are varied depending on what community you're looking at and what part of a community you're exploring.
Wow. What does history or research tell us about what happens to those kids who stay home and do nothing because they can't?
Well, we've never seen anything of this magnitude before in American education. There is good research on what happens when kids are just not getting an education or not getting schooling, and that's that you fall behind pretty quickly. We see this happen in a very shortened form every summer. Lots of research shows that low-income kids without as many opportunities tend to fall behind faster over the summer than kids who have more opportunities for enrichment and travels, and that has become a defining feature of many back to school first months for lower income districts serving high needs kids, is that they have to spend much more time reviewing material before they can start getting to the new stuff. That adds up over time, and then we're concerned about where these kids go. For the higher income families that have left a lot of these larger districts, there's concerns over, certainly not as many concerns about the kids' educational experience, because for the most part they are getting some often in-person instruction. That's what a lot of these parents may have transferred out to get. But when those kids leave systems, they also take the money that most districts get for kids for their kids' education from the state. That money drops, and then you have less money available to serve the highest need students that stay put. So that's the worrisome trend, is that we know many kids are falling behind. We don't know where all these kids are. And now there may be even less money available to serve them once we do finally get back to normal.
We're speaking with Erin Richards, national education reporter at USA Today. Her piece is called America's Missing Kids. Amid COVID and online school, thousands of students haven't shown up. Where are you getting some numbers from, by the way?
We talked to a lot of the major districts around the country. The story focused a lot on Las Vegas schools. That's the Clark County School District in Nevada. Large district, several 100,000 students, and they're missing about 10,000 kids at the moment. Most of those are kindergartners. Los Angeles schools are down about 14% in kindergarten enrollment, so that's also about 6,000 kids that have not shown up anywhere on the rolls. And we talked to other major metros around the country that are all missing between 1,000 to 6,000 or 7,000 kids. That's a small portion of the population in a large metro district, but those are also enormous numbers of children that may not be getting a ton of help right now.
Yeah.
And then some of them have transferred to many of the private schools, often private and parochial schools in metro areas. Many of them were able to open for in-person instruction, in part because their class sizes were smaller to begin with. And so I think we may also see a demographic shift of many parents maybe sticking with those private schools once public schools reopen. If they like the education their kid is getting and they can afford the tuition, that means that they can afford to make that choice.
Thanks, Erin. Erin Richards, national education reporter at USA Today. 20 minutes now in front of the hour on This Morning, America's. Hey, glad you're with us. Welcome into Tuesday. It's time now for the Mic Drop with this morning's Mike Gavin.
Good morning. Well, you can imagine that finding out that the world thinks that you're dead when you're most certainly not can be amusing at first. But then when the reality of that snafu hits home, it's no laughing matter. That's what an Oregon woman named Judy Kashner found out. She said at first she was mildly amused when her estate received a letter from her bank claiming she had died. But when she and her husband couldn't refinance their home to help pay for a new septic tank, that's when the laughs ended. Kashner later found out her bank had passed along errant information about her death to 3 credit reporting agencies, making the problem worse. She said the refinancing situation was eventually resolved, but mysterious non-estate charges suddenly appeared on her credit card bill. The bank said it planned to investigate what went wrong and that they normally need a social security number and a death certificate to certify that a customer has died.
Duh.
And instead, somebody's finger slipped.
Right.
Errant mouse click, something along those lines, which is probably what caused this.
Great job, everybody.
Yeah. But I mean, but it's amazing. Like I said, they spread it to 3, credit reporting agencies, and then if this continues to spread, I mean, you could be bogged down in trying to prove that you're not dead for years, probably, right?
I wouldn't wish that bureaucracy or time-consuming work on anybody trying to clean up that. Man.
Because it could just keep going, right?
Yeah.
Just keep going and going and getting to more people and more places, and, before you know it, you can't log on to anything anymore.
Right. I hope the bank just gets her on the phone and says, we're going to do this together, and we're going to bang it out in 10 minutes, and it's all going to be fixed instantaneously.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's awfully optimistic.
Well, that would be the bank's motivation.
Right. Right. And you can call Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes many things. Super Bowl champion, face of the NFL, half-billionaire. But one thing you can never call him is Pat. That's according to Mahomes' mom, Randy, who, despite her son's otherworldly performance on Monday Night Football, was really unhappy with the ESPN broadcast. Around an hour into the game, Randy took to Twitter to voice her frustrations, tweeting, "If this announcer doesn't stop calling my son Pat, ugh, I may scream. LOL. #help. Luckily, it didn't take long for Mom's tweet to get to the ESPN booth, and announcer Louis Riddick admitted on air that he was guilty as charged. The issue at hand is that Pat Mahomes is Patrick's father. Pat was a major league pitcher who played for the Minnesota Twins, New York Mets, and other teams, and you can imagine that in the Mahomes house, Pat and Patrick were used to differentiate between the two.
Why would you make that assumption if you're Louis Riddick?
That to call him. I've heard that before. I've heard a lot of people call him Pat.
Nothing in the game notes ever suggests that his name is Pat.
Right.
He's Patrick.
Right. Yeah. Again, people I can perhaps conflate with his father because his father was as famous as Patrick is, but I understand.
Pat Mahomes, very good for the Mets, by the way, and often overlooked, I think, was his career in the Independent American Association.
Oh, yeah?
With the Grand Prairie Airhogs in Texas.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that definitely flies under the radar.
Solid
these days.
career at the age of 39, I think, when he played.
Unfortunately, overshadowed by his son at this point.
Right. Speaking of football, by the way, just a little congratulations to me and you for picking up the absolute rear in the company's football pick'em pool this week.
Yeah,
you and I were the worst.
No free lunches for us this year, I don't think.
Tied for the worst. Mike and I.
Fantastic.
13 minutes in front of the hour. On This Morning, America's First News.
This year, Michigan businesses have had to adapt, and the Michigan Economic Development Corporation was right there alongside them, helping to connect businesses to new resources, meet new partners, and access the additional capital they needed right from the start. If your business needs support to reach its new potential, the MEDC is available to help in any way we can. Contact us today for customized business assistance at michiganbusiness.org/partnership.
Do business more powerfully during Dell's semi-annual sale. Save up to 45% on Dell computers and servers with Intel Core processors. Also save on electronics and accessories, plus free shipping on everything and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call 877-ASK-DELL to talk to a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find just the right tech. That's 877-ASK-DELL or visit Dell.com/business deals. Glad you're with us. The stress of the pandemic has manifested in a variety of physical ailments like shingles, migraines, quarantine fatigue, and what's known as maskne, or acne caused by prolonged wearing of masks. But the latest ailment, a rise in cracked teeth. Dr. Paul Kashgarian, oral surgeon with the Oral Surgery and Dental Implant Specialists of San Diego, told CNN that before the pandemic, treating one cracked tooth per day or every other day was normal. These days, 2 visits per day for fractured teeth have been the norm. On the worst days, he might see 5 cases. He says COVID-19 doesn't make teeth more fragile, but the anxiety of the pandemic often leads people bruxing their teeth, which is the involuntary gnashing, grinding, or clenching of the teeth. This can damage fillings or crowns and obviously crack your teeth. 8 minutes now in front of the hour on This Morning. Once again, here's Jennifer Kashenka.